Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's now 3 o'clock. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday afternoon. Rip City Drive is coming up next. Trailblazers General Manager Joe Cronin is going to join me at 3:20. Be here or be nowhere. And we got a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops against Spokane this Friday in Hillsboro. We're going to give those away coming up next on the Rip City Drive. NBA play-in tournament, Magic advance, and we'll meet Boston in round one of the Eastern Conference playoffs, while the Warriors will take on the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference playoffs. Elsewhere, Duke freshman Con Knuppel says he will enter the NBA draft, which is coming up in June. The NBA draft lottery is coming up on May 12th. Doubleheader on ESPN tonight at 4:30. Heat at the Bulls, followed by the Mavericks at the Kings in a pair of 9-10 matchups. From the NFL, Giants GM Joe CRONIN says they are willing to play Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter both ways. The NFL draft is 1 week from tonight. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing coming at you right now.
It's time for the Rip City Drive, brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Featuring the crazy and often irrational longtime Portland radio vet, Chad Doing.
Hunters lead, big lead at first for Freeman. There's a swing and a drive, left field. This ball's deep and carrying. Veen back to the wall. He looks up and is gone. A home run. Will Smith with a 3-run shot, and the Dodgers lead it 4-0.
The 0-1 pitch. Swung on, hammered, deep right field, way back she goes. Oh, man, gone. Slam time for Carroll. He cleans the bases. It's his 6th home run of the season, and hang 10 for the Diamondbacks. They lead it 10-1.
It's final. Trey, if you're listening in the back, sorry, buddy. Magic winners tonight in the play-in game, 120-95. The 7 seed, officially, we can finally say, is ours. And Orlando will head to Boston. We don't know the time of the tip-off, but it'll be on Sunday.
We're not senior citizens. We're high-level basketball players. If we had to play tomorrow, we'd be all right. You train all year for this. So, yeah, this. No disrespect to the senior citizens, by the way. We love our senior citizens. Just throw that out there. But we ain't there yet. Because we'll be just fine.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, that is Men at Work that Michael Shacker's playing right there. And just a reminder that Men at Work, along with Christopher Cross and Toto, are on tour this summer. They're going to be down in Vegas at the end of August. Also, they'll be up at the amphitheater in Clark County, which is, roughly 4.5 minutes from where I live. Now, I did see the lead singer of Men at Work when I went to the Ringo All-Star Band concert down in Vegas with my buddy Steve. Colin Hay is a cool dude. His story, and I'm telling you, if you're into music and you like some of the behind-the-scenes type stuff or documentaries, there's a free documentary on YouTube. Just put in Colin Hay documentary. His story and love of music and his journey from hitting it big time in the early 80s with Men at Work up until now is amazing. He's a cool dude, and I'm excited to go see that concert. I know Shacker's on top of that. James Taylor is going to be on concert tour. I think he's always on concert tour, but he's coming in the area. And so that's pretty cool. This is the time of year where I like to take a step back and look at some of the acts that are going to be bumping around and say, how can I see that band one more time? That's what I like to do. I love going to check out live music, but Colin Hay is a cool dude, and that's going to be a great concert. I've seen Colin Hay with Ringo. I've seen Toto on multiple occasions. That's my buddy Steve's favorite band of all time. I've also had the opportunity to interview Steve Lukather, who is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. He is also a great songwriter and is one of the best studio musicians of all time. And he has been a part of some of the biggest hits in the history of music, including his work on the Thriller album with Michael Jackson. I saw Christopher Cross, I think it was like 2019, or maybe it was 2021. I can't remember the exact time frame, down in Reno. And he was awesome. He was celebrating the, I think, 40-year anniversary of his original album release, which won a Grammy. And I think he won a Grammy for Best New Artist of the Year. But he was awesome. He's a cool guy who I think really appreciates that he's still able to go out and play music. And he was great. 2 hours straight of just hit after hit after hit. And he's a cool guy. He tells good stories between songs. I think a lot of these older acts, at least the ones I've had a chance to study up on, I think they really enjoy the ones who have survived the heyday of being a rock and roll superstar. If they survive it and they're able to get to this point in their life and still play music and people are showing up and they're no longer doing the drugs and all the crazy stuff where their life is in danger, I think they respect it and appreciate it so much. I'm fascinated by the whole scene. So this is a good time of the year for music. Now, coming up on the show, Joe Cronin's going to join me here in about 15 minutes, the Trailblazers general manager. I'm excited to speak with him. I really like Joe, and what I appreciate about him is he's very approachable. I can walk up to him and have a conversation, ask questions. What's really cool about Joe is, there's a lot of things that I don't understand about basketball or how to assess a player or how things work in the NBA. Heck, the new CBA is wildly confusing. But you can approach Joe and ask questions, and he gives answers. And he's a easy guy to talk to, and I appreciate his story, and I'll ask him about it. But to start as an intern back in '06 and work your way up to general manager, tell me that's not a pretty sweet transition. Intern, a nobody, working your way up and grinding to become the general manager of the team. That is a sweet transition. So we'll talk with Joe Cronin coming up at 3:20. Evan Giddings, who is a graduate of the CIP School of Broadcasting. He was once here at 620 Rip City Radio. He's now down at 95.5 The Game in San Francisco, a station I worked at. He covers the Warriors. He's going to join us coming up at 5:20. I watched that game last night. The Warriors were up early, and it looked like they were going to put away the Grizz, but Memphis, to their credit, battled, and it became quite the game. But the heroics of Steph Curry late with the early play of Jimmy Butler, and those two combined for, 75 points? It's hard to beat the Warriors when you have Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry going off like that. But I have great concerns about the Warriors, legitimate concerns. They were killed on the glass last night, and they're getting ready now for a first-round series against Houston. And look, say what you want about the Rockets. And I think a lot of people assume that they're not going to advance far in the postseason because they don't know the team or watch a lot of Houston basketball. They don't have the playoff experience. But here's what they do well. They are intense, they defend, and they rebound the heck out of the basketball, and they're insanely athletic, and they've got multiple long guys and wings to throw at Steph Curry, including Amen Thompson. They also have two guards who are going to be aggressive with him, in Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. So I'm leaning Rockets right now. I understand experience and star power, but the Warriors have holes in their game. They have holes. And I'm trying to figure out why Jonathan Kuminga, why does he never play when the team could use an athlete and someone like that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So you tell me. Interesting. So we're going to see. That series is going to be awesome. Well, this is great news. He called in early. We're going to take him right now. The general manager for your Portland Trailblazers, Joe Cronin, joining the Rip City Drive right now. Joe, good afternoon. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on your contract extension with the team. That's got to be pretty exciting for you.
Hey, Chad, thank you for having me. And thank you. Yeah, it's exciting. Trailblazers, we're taking pretty good steps here, and it's nice to be a part of this at least a little bit longer.
Well, I know what it's like for me when my boss sits down with me and he offers me a contract extension. It feels good just from the standpoint of, they appreciate some of the work you're doing. And I know for you, you jumped in at a time of, chaos. And to be able to work through that and then have them come to you and say, hey, we like what you're doing. We want it to continue. I would imagine to have that type of support from ownership is nice.
For sure. It's great to feel that level of support, and it's great to see all of us get, rewarded for the hard work that we're putting in and for the solid results that we think we're starting to see.
Yeah, it's terrific. Joe Cronin is with us here on the Rip City Drive. I guess first off, just your thoughts on the season from year to year to go plus 14 in wins. How much of a surprise was that to you, especially with the surge in the second half?
hmm Was really happy to see the defensive improvement from the first half of the year to the second half of the year. It's been a big point of emphasis in ours in, the players we've acquired, but also in the style of play we're trying to implement. So to see our group get really connected and really start to thrive on that defensive side of the ball, I think that really propelled our team as a whole and, took us to this, next phase of what we hope to be a successful rebuild.
Hey, Joe, how do you explain the defensive improvement? I think in the first half of the season, games 1-41, I think you guys were like 27th or 28th in the league in defensive efficiency. But from games 41 up until the end, we're talking about top 5 defense, which is a large sample size. Is that just a matter of having continuity with guys playing together? Is it the development of the players? Like, what is the key to that turnaround there defensively?
And I think it's all of the above. I think definitely the group became more and more connected as the season and seasons went along. With that, we also saw a lot of player development occur, and these young guys are getting better and better and starting to come into their own and find their identity and learn what it takes on a nightly basis to, play winning basketball, specifically on the defensive side of the floor. And I think another big part of it is Chauncey and his staff really hit their stride, not just in implementing their style of play, and their defensive schemes, but also in how they were able to challenge our guys and get them to respond and hold them accountable and really instill that defensive mindset.
Joe, I've always thought that, part of the challenge of being an NBA coach is just, getting the guys to respond and play hard for you. And I thought early in the season, after that rough loss to Memphis at Moda Center, I was curious to see how the guys would respond after Coach called them out for their lack of play. And then they bounced back and won back-to-back games against Minnesota. I thought that was impressive. What were your thoughts with the way that the players responded to Coach Billups and his call through through the adversity at times during the course of the season? Did you learn something about the coach and the players through that process?
Every time. It's almost, the part I was most locked in on was not what happened to us, but how we would react to it. And Chad, I think you nailed it. The way we bounced back after that Memphis loss, it showed me a lot of heart, a lot of resolve, a lot of confidence. And, we had a lot of ups and downs this season. And often I thought we bounced back soon after a downturn. I thought we really responded well. And that was encouraging just in the culture and mentality that we're trying to build.
We're talking with Trailblazers General Manager Joe Cronin here on the Rip City Drive. I know that this was mentioned in your press conference on Sunday where you and Coach were talking about the synergy between you two. And I'm just wondering if you could shed some light on that. It's nice to know that you guys are on the same page and work well together. How long have you known Coach Billups? Did you know him from your time in Denver? Because you both hail from the Colorado area. Did you know him back then? And talk about your relationship and how well you guys work together now.
Yeah, we grew up in the same area in Denver. I was a senior in high school, and he was a junior in high school, and we played against each other in the state championship.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, it's crazy how it all plays out. But I didn't know him all that well. I knew of him, of course, and vice versa, but didn't meet him until we played that game. And then, the rest is history. It was so cool circling back decades later and now being together, working towards the same goal, building, this team and being partners in it. And I feel very fortunate to be on his side and, vice versa. I think we work really well together. We have a great working relationship. We share a lot of the same opinions about the game of basketball, and as far as style of play. And even as we're, evaluating players and that type of stuff, we have a lot of the same values that way. And it's been a blessing, and I've really enjoyed working with Chauncey.
What do you remember about that game? How much of a killer basketball player was he back then when you faced up with him?
He was significantly better than the rest of us.
It probably didn't take you long to figure that out, did it?
No, it didn't take long. And we knew it going in, and you really know it when you're playing against him. And the funny thing is he was so much better than everybody else, but it was like that from when he was a freshman. He was the best player by far in the state as a freshman, let alone as a junior when I ran into him. And, of course, he went on and had a Hall of Fame career. So it's fun, from Denver, which isn't a basketball powerhouse, but it was cool seeing a player of that caliber come through our city.
Well, it's pretty cool. I used to live in Denver before I moved out to the Northwest like you guys, and I have family in the Denver area, and they're always asking me about Chauncey because he is revered there in the Rocky Mountains, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Joe, about the young players, and I've talked with you about them throughout the course of the season, but if you can just give me a quick snapshot on what you saw with their development, because with the fans I talked to and the energy and vibe around the franchise right now, I think people are really excited about what the young guys did throughout the course of the season. Let's start with Scoot Henderson. What did you think about his development, and what did you see throughout the season with him that you were excited about?
Yeah, was really pleased with the season Scoot had, specifically in his comfort level. I thought that increased significantly as time went on. The point guard spot is a tough one to navigate, especially as a young player, and watching him figure it out and get his pace in order and watch his skill set develop, as far as his, comfort level as a playmaker off the bounce, reading pick and rolls, making open shots, finishing at the rim better. I was really happy to see Scoot take steps in all those regards. But I think the part about Scoot's season that probably doesn't get talked about as much, I was really happy with the way he guarded this year. And his physicality and his toughness, and obviously, he's a really high-level athlete. And then watching him, learn to navigate the defensive side of the ball, I was excited about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing him do a lot more of that.
All right, Shaden Sharp showed flashes of brilliance. I love the way he responded to being benched by Coach Billups. What did you see from Shaden throughout the course of the year?
Yeah, I thought Shaden had a great third year. He's obviously the second year was shortened with the injury, but I love seeing Shaden, take that next step. When you're a ball handling guard that is asked to do a lot of different things, we've seen his role change and evolve over time. And I continue to be encouraged, as he's, doing more and more things on the offensive side of the floor. He's initiating and pick and rolls. He's becoming a good spot up shooter. Obviously, he's a really dynamic athlete around the hole. And I think it's been talked about a lot, the way he's finishing around the basket and, just really putting pressure on the rim. He's doing a great job there. And then Chad, like you said, Coach called him out and challenged him defensively, and I thought he responded really well. We all know he's very capable of being a high-end defender, and I thought we saw more and more of that as the season went on.
All right, what about the rookie Donovan Klingon? I know you guys were thrilled to get him on draft night. As the season went along, he got more playing time and his conditioning ramped up. What did you see from him?
Yeah, got more and more comfortable, and I'll say that a lot about young guys. It's just that those first year or two, it's them adapting to the speed and skill and length of the NBA on an NBA floor. It's complicated, and I thought the game really slowed down for Donovan as the season went along, and as his conditioning got better and better, and as he started facing teams and players multiple times, you just saw his comfort level continue to increase. And obviously he's already a very, very good defender, and now we're starting to see some offensive competency that we had seen flashes from him in college. We're starting to see that hit the floor, where obviously his offensive rebounding is huge for us, but also I thought he showed a lot as a passer, and as a finisher, I thought he improved his pace around the hole. He's doing a better job scoring with both hands in a crowd, and in time we'll see him make more and more threes, which hopefully will add to his level of a threat as an offensive player.
Now, Joe, Denny Avdia, he's so much fun to watch, and I was blown away by all the different things he was able to do. I don't know if he exceeded your expectation. He was tremendous this year, but what did you see from Denny?
Love seeing Denny's usage increase significantly and his efficiency increase with it. That's such a hard thing for a young player to do. When you put the ball in their hands and ask them to do a lot, and then they ramp up their efficiency right alongside of it. And I thought that was such a huge development for Denny that, okay, he can be a lead guy, have the ball in his hands in a lot of different complicated situations and continue to produce really efficiently. And it's exciting just seeing Denny take that step and knowing he's still got many more steps he can take.
Yeah, we forget this. He's still young as well. What, 24 years old? You would think that he's got plenty of
Mm-hmm.
time to develop. Now, his front court mate, Tamani Kamara, one of the, making that push for Defensive Player of the Year and really starting to showcase what he can do on that end of the floor, but also added some on the offense. What do you think about Tamani's development in year 2 with the team?
Love seeing that year-to-year improvement from Tumani. And it's interesting because, he had that injury at the end of last season that basically kept him off the basketball court until July. He was able to do some light shooting and stuff like that, but he didn't really get after it last summer until halfway through the summer. And yet we still saw a ton of improvement. Like you said, Chad, obviously an all-league defender already, but, shooting the ball with confidence, playing off the move some now, another offensive rebound machine. So the stuff that he's got done on both ends of the floor on a half off season work schedule, it was really exciting. I can't wait to see the work he gets in when he gets the opportunity to have a full summer like this year.
We're talking with Trailblazers General Manager Joe Cronin here on the Rip City Drive. So we're getting ready for the off season. What's the climate like around the league as teams continue to learn about the new CBA and its impact? How has this had an impact on just getting things done?
I think teams are learning to navigate it. It's of course I think we see this in each new CBA, at least ones that have somewhat significant changes, that it takes teams a little while to acclimate to that new climate or be a little more conservative than normal. So, as teams recalibrate, okay, what are these new rules? How do they limit us, or how do they prevent us from doing certain things that we want to do? And how do we value these contracts, and how do we appropriately rate what the value of picks are or young players? I think teams are still trying to figure all that out, but I think over time we've seen teams get more and more comfortable, and I expect that to continue, that as we just adjust to these new norms.
Hey, Joe, how would you describe this year's draft? I'm well aware of the top 4 players and the quality of those guys at the top, but overall, what do you think about this year's crop?
Liking the depth. It's a good draft. From everything we're seeing, it's looking to be, whether we move up in the lottery, we like the top 4, or if we stay put at that 9-10 range, we're going to be happy there as well. We're liking the depth of this draft.
Hey, Joe, you mentioned this, but I wanted you to expand on it a bit. I know last year was frustrating from the standpoint that you had so many guys in and out of the lineup that it was hard for you to get valuable data on your players and what you had on the roster. You compare that to this year with the relative health and the guys who were able to play extended minutes. How much data were you able to collect throughout the course of this season, and how helpful is that as you get ready for the offseason?
Yeah, quite a bit. We've seen most of our guys, all of our core guys got north of 1,000 minutes each at least, some double and 1.5 times that. So we were able to see these guys playing a lot of different lineups, playing a lot of different situations, playing a lot of different roles. And it was really helpful. It allows us now to, understand that, okay, this is what this group is capable of. And now we can be a lot more intentional about the type of player we're adding, whether it's, we need this certain type of skill set or we need this certain type of personality. We can be more intentional and start shaping this roster that fits this core group of players that we have.
Hey, Joe, I wondered if you could, we've talked about this a little bit, but I think it's important for people to understand, but your role as general manager since you've taken over, can you talk about how supportive Jody Allen has been during your tenure with the team when it comes to whatever it is that you need to get done in that process?
Sure. I've really enjoyed working for Jody. She's been awesome and a great leader for us. It's the help she provides, the intellectual support that she gives me, constantly being a great sounding board and challenging me and getting me to think about, things in different ways, or questioning, hey, is this is this a better thought than this, or is this a better approach than this? Like the way she challenges me has been incredibly helpful. And then, of course, financially, I mean, since I took over, we've made so many changes within our organization. She's been really supportive in helping me add a really high-end staff, from right out of the gate, added 3 really good assistant general managers, Andre Patterson, Mike Schmitz, Sergio Oliva, completely reworked our health and performance department, added the Rip City remix, revamped our kitchen, our whole food program. And she just keeps investing in this team. And it's been incredible that, basically when we need something, she's right there for us, whether it's, from her point of view or her perspective, or, financially, if we need to change something, she's right there for us. So it's been, we feel really lucky to have Jody.
That's great. I've just got a few more questions for you. Speaking of the remix, how helpful has it been to have a G League team here in town and the benefits of that for what you're trying to accomplish?
It's been great. We love the remix, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but they practice at our practice facility, which we consider a huge advantage. That the remix players, they feel like they are a part of the Trailblazers. And so, they're there with us every day, being in our building, using our same equipment. And of course, playing in our city, and, those 2 teams being able to cross over quite a bit and support each other. And, we've had great attendance at our remix games as far as our players going and Trailblazer staff. And I love going to remix games. So that's been great. But then, of course, the player development component, being able to get our 2-ways a ton of run with the remix, and any guys that we assign from the Blazers to the remix and getting them extra repetitions and run or practices. It's been incredibly valuable. And also just as an innovation lab, we've tried to do a lot of out-of-the-box experimenting with the remix that is helping shape some of the decisions the Trailblazers are making, have made, and will make. So it was a critical addition to us, and we're just getting started with the remix and hope that it'll continue to add more and more value.
Now, Joe, I love people's stories. Everyone's got a story, and I didn't know this until a couple of weeks ago when I found out that you started out as an intern with the Trailblazers back in 2006, and you were like the classic intern like I was in radio, where you weren't making any money and you were willing to do whatever it took for your living expenses and just to find a way to get through to give yourself an opportunity in basketball. What was that process like to go from that up into doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, an awesome ride and adventure, and a very challenging one. Since I was a kid, like when people would say, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" My answer was always be an NBA general manager.
That's great.
So I told myself I was just finishing up grad school, didn't have a job, didn't know what I was going to do. Learned about this internship in Portland, basketball operations internship that was available, was lucky enough to get it. Came up to Portland, worked for free for a year, and just grinded away and refereed basketball at night and racked up credit cards just trying to pay bills. And, I think a lot of people have been through this, and just, did whatever I could to make my mark. And I was just hoping at the end of the internship that they'd give me a longer opportunity and bring me on in some capacity. And it worked out that way. And then over time, I was really fortunate to work for really good people that were really talented, that cared about me and were willing to teach me things, and they believed in me and gave me all these opportunities. And for me, I really feel like it was the right place at the right time. And then I had the right mentality and right skill set to where I was just kept learning and chopping away at different jobs and just kept fine-tuning my skill set, and then finally made it up to this level as general manager, and felt extremely fortunate. And it was a really cool moment for me, that knowing that this was a lifelong dream. So that for me, that was great. And now my goal is just, okay, let's do the best job possible at this dream job.
Yeah, I love the story. That's awesome, and the ground cover work to get to that point. I got one more question. So
thank you.
What does your schedule look like now with you've got the lottery coming up on May 12th and the draft coming up in June? Like, what are some of the different things you're going to be focused on and doing over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Sure. A lot of it's getting this next year's roster built. These next 3 months are big ones for the Trailblazers. Like you said, Chad, we got the lottery first, and then in between the lottery and or in between mid-May and mid-June, we'll just do a ton of draft prep, ton of talking to other teams, seeing what their goals are going into the off season and into the draft and free agency, seeing what deals are available, and then do the draft, do free agency, any trades that come along. So just really working towards getting the team in as good a shape as possible going into next season.
That's great. It's Trailblazers General Manager Joe Cronin with us. Well, Joe, congratulations on the extension. I'm excited about that. And thank you for the time that you share with me throughout the course of the year when I'm peppering you with questions and being patient with me. I thank you.
I love it, Chad. Thank you for having me.
You got it. There's Joe Cronin, Trailblazers General Manager here on the Rip City Drive. You got to love that process. You come in as an intern in 06, and I think the benefit of that is that he had a chance to do a little bit of everything within the organization. So you're learning everything about how an NBA team works. You put in the time. He did odd jobs, refereeing and other things, ran up credit card debt. He did whatever he could to have an opportunity to be a part of the franchise, and that's exactly what he did. And he continued to grind and do it, which is great. So love to hear that story. And I'm excited that the team has got Joe Cronin on an extension, and they've got Chauncey Billups on an extension. So now they have everything set, and they enter into the offseason with the next big date coming up on May 12th with the NBA Draft Lottery. So big thanks to Joe Cronin. You can always podcast. Just go to the iHeartRadio app or go to RipCityRadio.com. But big thanks to Joe Cronin, Trailblazers General Manager, for joining the Rip City Drive. All right, this will be a shorter segment after taking Joe Cronin one off the top, but that's okay. We'll get things back on track. Evan Giddings will join us coming up at 5:20 as I want to go inside the Warriors. I want to see what he thinks about the Dubs. I watched them last night, and I'm not even convinced they're going to beat the Rockets. I really want to see how things would play out in that series, but the Rockets are going to provide a lot of problems. One, they've got size. Two, they've got great athleticism. And three, they're young, and they're going to attack. And they've got multiple guys with length they can throw at Steph Curry. So we'll see how it shakes out, but that should be a wildly fascinating series. Now, I will say this. So the Lakers are going to play Minnesota, and then you have the Rockets taking on the Warriors. Here's one thing I can tell you. If you play for Minnesota or if you play for the Rockets, you got to know going into the series that you're not going to get any calls from the officials, like zero. Can you imagine what type of a ratings boon you would get from a Lakers-Warriors series? So, going in, if you're going to win this series, you got to dominate action. Because if it's close, you might be frustrated with the balance of calls from the officials. I'm just saying. So it's going to be fun to see how that plays out. But, man, the Rockets, they're long, they're athletic, and they're great defensively, and they rebound the heck out of the basketball. And I think I mentioned this yesterday. I reached out to Adam Clanton, my buddy, who's down in Houston, and he works for the Rockets. And I said, hey, Adam, from what I've been told, or the consensus on the Rockets is that they're young and athletic and great defensively, but they don't shoot the ball well enough or play solid enough half-court offense to be able to execute in the postseason. Is that a fair assessment? And he just said, hey, all I can tell you is they rebound extremely well. They're incredibly well coached from Ime Udoka, and defensively, they are relentless. And so with the Warriors, they're a little bit older now. This isn't the same Warriors team from 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they better be ready to battle. So we'll see how things shake out, but that's going to be a great series. I'm excited about that one because of the Rockets, the way they match up, and some of the size and their ability to defend. It's going to be a great battle. And then tonight we have, Dallas and Sacramento? It's like the dysfunctional basketball game. Two franchises that are rudderless ships. The Mavericks who traded Luka, and they doubled down on that yesterday. They're crazy. And then you've got Sacramento, who got rid of Mike Brown in the season. They went with Doug Christie, and then for some reason got rid of De'Aaron Fox, and no one seems to know why. So that is a dysfunction bowl that we got going on tonight. And the winner of that game will face Memphis for the rights to match up against OKC in the first round. Good luck with that. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Evan Giddings talking Warriors at 5:20. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, big thanks to Rasan Gathers of the Portland Trailblazers for helping me set up the interview with Joe Cronin to get him on. I really appreciate his work, and always nice to catch up. I'm excited about the draft lottery coming up on May 12th. I understand the Blazers have less than a 4% chance to land a number one pick, but we can still dream. I've seen enough of Cooper Flagg to know that I'm not a scout or a GM, but I can tell you with certainty that Cooper Flagg would look pretty good in a Trailblazer uniform. That's my assessment. And I don't know what's going on with me. You ever had this problem where my pits are moist right now? And I normally don't have this issue. I put on my antiperspirant deodorant this morning. I went through my normal routine, but like I just feel a little bit weird right now. I don't know what's going on.
Did talking to the Blazers GM make you sweat?
I think it did. Like, who was that person on Saturday Night Live that would get nervous and then like rubber pits? Who was that? I can't remember the character's name, but it was a funny
Superstar.
bit. Yeah, superstar. She would get nervous and then start, put her hands in her pits and start rubbing them. It's pretty good. So, yeah, I had a good workout today. The weather's beautiful. I got a 7 a.m. tee time tomorrow. And I think the weather, I checked the extended forecast, it's going to be nice throughout. And I'm going to be up at Wildwood on Saturday. And I'll be hitting Forest Hills Golf Course real soon. So my golf season is here. It's still weird and bizarre this week. I go through this transition, but like all of this free time that I have now, it's a wonderful thing. I get to sit back and figure out what I want to do, different things going on, spend more time with family. I can get reacquainted with my daughter a little bit after basketball season. So there you have it. And basically by getting reacquainted with my daughter, I mean, I can become a human taxi once again. And she's in that weird phase right now where she's not old enough to drive, but she's wanting to go out and do different things. And so what does she do? She hits me up. Hey, Dad, can you take me here? Can you take me there? Can you pick this person up and then we can go here? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, also, I got pulled over last night. I was over there by Mall 205. I went to do some golf practice at Golf Tech, and I was gripping because I just got this sweet deal. I switched insurance companies, and I saved with the same coverage, I saved like $90 a month or $94 a month. It's one of the few times in life where I'm like, dude, I'm getting over. I finally am getting over on something. I couldn't believe it. Like I had to look at it twice and be like, wait, where's the candid camera? But no, I got a sweet deal, and I just signed up like 2 weeks ago. When I made my first payment, I've never been happier to pay for insurance than this point in time in my life. And then I get pulled over last night. I'm like, God dang it. So I guess what I did, over there by Mall 205, like Southeast is weird because they got a bunch of one-ways and the this and the that. I came up on an intersection. I was making that turn to head down to get on the ramp to get back on 205 to head into the Couve. And I guess I didn't make a complete stop when I made the right turn at the red light. I had no idea. I wasn't paying attention anyways. And all of a sudden, I see the lights light up. I had two biker cops behind me. And the officer rolled up on me, and he's like, hello, sir. And he said, I saw that you failed to come to a complete stop before you made that right turn. And me and my partner were right there to watch it. I'm like, my bad. And so I handed him my license and my insurance, and he went back and came back with this long receipt. I don't know if I've ever seen a longer receipt in my life, but it was like this long, narrow, skinny strip of paper. And he said, well, why don't we do this? He goes, you seem like a pretty nice guy. He doesn't know who I am, right? And he goes, if you do this course and select option 3, then I'll show up at your court date and make sure that the ticket is dropped. I'm like, thank you for your kindness. And I moved on with my evening. What I didn't know is that the course, it's like 37 different pages. It's like a web class I got to take. So I hammered through half of it last night. I'm 53% done. And I just felt motivated to get on it right away because I don't like things that I need to get done hanging over my head. But, man, it's like a lot of words to read. And then some of the videos were graphic in nature and not fun. I can put it that way. But it's worth it because I don't want to have a ticket go on my record and then the insurance company raise my rates because that's just not something you hope for, So there you have it. But he was nice. The officer was very nice. He could have hit me with the ticket, gave me the option to take the online course, and then boom, there you have it. It's funny when you go back to a course after having your license for many years, I realize how bad of a driver I am. all the different things that I do that I shouldn't be doing.
Well, like looking at your phone, replying to texts.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the phone is a killer. It's a killer. It's so easy because we get so used to our devices nowadays that we're constantly distracted by them. It's part of the reason why I love playing golf. I turn the phone off and I just go about my business on the golf course.
Now, were the cops on stakeout looking to give a ticket, or was it coincidence? They just happened to be right behind you.
I don't know.
Oh.
I didn't obviously not aware of what was going on around me. Not really paying attention. I was thinking about 5 different things like the push draw that I want to hit desperately at all times on a golf course. I was thinking about the weather. I was thinking about going home and eating dinner and watching another episode of Celtic City, and then I look up and see the lights. And that's another sign of a bad driver. Constant distraction in your mind. You don't even have to have a device. You can just have 5 different things going on in your mind at the same time, and then that means you're not paying attention to the road. I learned that last night in the first half of my study on the course. But Celtic City's awesome. The end of the episode last night was right when the Celtics drafted Len Bias, and a report came out on the news that he had passed away, and then the episode ended. So I'm going to watch another episode of Celtic City tonight. What a great you got to check it out. It was great last night because I was able to watch the Warriors and Grizzlies. Good game. Steph Curry going wild late. Jimmy Butler wild early. And then watch and learn more about Larry Bird and how Robert Parrish let him get the crap beat out of him against Philadelphia because Bird did not defend him when it came to his contract negotiations. The Chief is awesome in this show, Robert Parrish. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Chad doing here. Evan Giddings talking Warriors at 5:20. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, what's going on? It's now 4 o'clock. Chad here. Joe Cronin joined me in the first hour of the Rip City Drive. You can podcast. Just go to the iHeartRadio app or ripcityradio.com. We got a 4-pack of tickets for Hops. We're going to give those away next for Spokane on Friday out in Hillsboro. NBA play-in tournament, Magic advance, and we'll meet Boston in round 1 of the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Warriors are going to take on the Rockets in the Western Conference playoffs after their victory over Memphis. Elsewhere, Duke freshman Con Knuppel says he will enter the NBA draft. The lottery is coming up on May 12th. We have an ESPN doubleheader tonight in the play-in, 4:30. Heat at the Bulls, followed by the Mavericks at the Kings in a pair of 9-10 matchups. From the NFL, Giants GM Joe CRONIN says that they are willing to play Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter both ways. NFL draft is 1 week from tonight. Boy, these yellow mustard pretzels, I can't stop eating them. I've got pretzel fingers right now, so I'm going to get crumbs everywhere in the studio. All right, we have. Wait, who is this, by the way, singing the song, Shacker?
This is Dino.
Dino! Get your dog to howl for us. I didn't go in the control room today, so I didn't get any loving from Dino. That's a shame. I'll have to come over there during the break. I forgot about Dino. This is a good song, actually. I hate to admit that, but it is.
I was around for one summer and then disappeared from our life.
I like summer girls. All right, we have a 4-pack of tickets for the Hillsboro Hops. It was supposed to be Hillsboro Hops Tuesday, but Shacker and I made a last-second decision to make it Hillsboro Hops Wednesday, meaning we forgot to give them away yesterday. So we got a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops coming up on Friday. So we're going to keep this very simple. First caller through. If you want a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops to sit in the Rip City Radio row, call now, 503-248-0620. I want to hear from a baseball fan. 503-248-0620. Show me your Hops. 503-248-0620. Call now. That actually helped me clear my throat a little bit from the pretzels. 503-248-0620. Call now. And then what we're going to do throughout the summer, just so you're aware, every Tuesday, unless Shacker and I forget, we're going to give away Hops tickets to sit in the Rip City Radio row. A 4-pack of tickets. And frankly, Friday's going to be awesome because the weather kicks booty. Good weather. I can't believe this weather. I feel like the Lord is blessing me because of all the work I put in with the Trailblazers. And so, like, the season ends and we get like a week straight of sunshine. I can't believe how nice it is outside right now. It's awesome. Puppy Shots loves it. I love it. You love it. And people I walk into at the store or just around town, everyone's in a good mood. Happy. You know, it's weird out here when people actually get exposed to the sun. It changes our entire demeanor. I certainly feel good. I feel real good. And I'll be out there tomorrow just getting my body back into conditioning mode for golf. And the first week and a half to 2 weeks is tough. I did have a good practice session last night, though. I'm learning to be patient. I think what I learned is, and I learned this from a round I played in Colorado last year. I played with this. I was out there with my buddy Josh. We went to the Bronco game against Pittsburgh, just a crap game. The Broncos scored 6 points, but we also played. We went 36 holes, 72 holes of golf over the course of 2 days. My favorite course that I played there is Riverdale. It's a spectacular course, Riverdale, the Dunes. And we got paired up with this coach and a young gal who was in this LPGA academy. So she's prepping to become like a pro golfer. And we teed off in the morning, but I watched her hold a hole, shot to shot. And what impressed me was her mindset. She didn't get too high, didn't get too low. Her process and routine was the same for every shot, every putt, the entire round. She hit a good shot or a bad shot or what she deemed to be a bad shot. She never changed her demeanor. And so I'm just watching her operate with, calmness and just working through her process. And I'm just thoroughly impressed. And so I'm trying to apply that type of mindset. Just remain focused. You know your process, your routine. Regardless of the result, you continue to go through that. She blew me away. I was like, wow. Okay, that's how you're supposed to operate. Not with emotion or anger or frustration. She was not boomeranging her club into a pond or anything like that. It was impressive. All right, let's talk a little NFL draft. Did we find a winner, Shacker? It didn't take long. I saw the phones light up.
We got a winner, Sean from Sandy.
Sean from Sandy getting little baseball tickets. That's good. Props, Sean. He's a big baseball fan. I gave him a ticket a couple of years ago. He joined me up in Seattle for Dodgers Mariners. So it was cool to hang out with him for an afternoon at the ballpark.
And he was really fired up to win these tickets. So, and next chance to win is next Tuesday.
Every Tuesday throughout the summer, we'll have Hops Ticket Tuesday. All right, NFL draft. So we know the top two quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Now, I think Shedeur the best, and I would draft him first in the quarterback group. I love his accuracy, his toughness, and I'll get to Shedeur here in just a moment. But the big question is, who's going to go number one, Shedeur or Cam? Well, the Titans are selecting number one, and they need a quarterback. But this is a little snippet. Take a listen to this. Cam Ward is playing Fortnite, and it's being recorded. And he's talking about different players in the NFL. And he mentioned a list of guys who he thought were the top wide receivers in the NFL. Well, it's pretty awesome, but he referenced Treylon Burks. And my guess would be most football fans aren't fully aware of Treylon Burks, but he plays for the Titans. Now, my question is, why is Cam Ward saying that about Treylon Burks? Might it be because he knows he's going to become a future teammate of his? But take a listen to this 18 seconds of Cam Ward playing Fortnite and listing off Treylon Burks as one of the top wide receivers in the NFL.
Okay, so y'all already said Ridley, Jamar, Justin.
I think Jason Jamar is like the top.
And then for my last one, Treylon Burks. And that ain't.
There you go. Cam Ward just casually referencing Treylon Burks while he's killing it on Fortnite. He also said that his top two backs were Spears and Pollard. You want to guess which team they play for? Yeah, that's right, the Titans. So there you go. Cam Ward's going to go number one to the Titans. I just think it's amazing that in today's world of social media, that's how we find out who's going to go number one. Why would he reference Treylon Burks? I guarantee you, if he was not going to be taken number one overall by the Titans, he would not be referencing Treylon Burks along with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Just a rough guess on my part. Now, I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. I saw him play a lot at Washington State and then extensively at Miami last year. You know, he comes from a small college, had a chance to work his way up, got a great opportunity at WSU, and then made the transfer and had one big year at Miami. I want to see him succeed. I would take Shedeur over him, but his physical traits, his ability to move, his arm strength, he's got good leadership qualities. There's a lot of things to like about Cam Ward. Now with Shedeur, and I think I was talking to Joe, who was I talking to yesterday? It's not Joe Fortenbaugh. Who's the other Joe?
You had Aaron Fentress, or are you talking off air?
No, who's our other Joe? Isn't there a Joe? No, Brian No. I was thinking Joe. I was talking to Brian No yesterday, and I called him Joe Fortenbaugh. Joe's a good guy, too. But Brian No said that he thinks a lot of the criticism or the noise, the smoke that's out there around Shedeur, a lot of that could come from the fact that, you know, maybe people who don't like Coach Prime, or maybe they don't like the brashness in which the way that Shedeur operates. But I think Shador is the best quarterback. What I like about Shador, one is, whichever team he's going to go to in the NFL, whether it's the Giants or the Browns or whoever, that team is in a rebuild mode, meaning they are picking at the top of the draft for a reason because they've had issues, and those teams certainly have. But that's the exact same situation that Shador is coming out of at Colorado, where he came in, and people forget this, but when Coach Prime took over, Colorado was the worst school in Division I football. The cupboard was bare. Coach Durrell ran it into the ground. They had no support, no talent. Coach Prime takes over, and he starts the process of remodeling the entire program and rebuilding the team through the portal and shipping out the guys who he didn't think had the talent to play for him and his team. Now, I think Coach Prime did a terrific job, and he continues to do a terrific job. And unlike a lot of people try to tell me, he just signed on an extension and will continue his work with the school. He wasn't just there for his sons. He's there because that's his calling. He believes it's his calling to be a college football coach and work with young men and give back. So I'm a full supporter of Coach Prime. I'm totally down with the guy. And I love the work he's done at Colorado. But I would still contend that the main reason why Colorado had such a big turnaround over the last couple of years is because they had significant improvement at the quarterback position with Shador. High-level play. He was under constant duress, took a lot of hits, poor offensive line, and yet there he was continuing to get back up and stand in and deliver the football on time and on target from the pocket. And I think we all know, yes, you need to have the ability to move around. The Iron Deer quarterback, that whole era is over. The quarterbacks who are coming in now are athletic to some level. The Jared Goff days are over. Shador is not the same type of runner that Cam Ward is, but he's got nimble feet. He can navigate the pocket. He can move around. He can buy time. But what I like about Shador is when he's buying time, his eyes are downfield. He's looking to deliver the football, make a big play, but I love the fact that he can navigate the pocket and deliver it on time with accuracy. And he has a desire to win and be great. He's got all the elements you want. Not only that, but he was raised by Coach Prime and has been around the game and has a certain understanding that I think some people would not. So I would take Shador. I think he's going to be the best of the two quarterbacks, but it looks like Cam Ward, based on the fact that he loves Traylon Burks, is going to go number one to Tennessee. But I want both guys to have success. And I'm a big fan of Coach Prime, big fan of Shador. I know a lot of people don't like the gold watch and the posing and all that stuff. What do I care? I'm 49 now. If I was that young and that great and had that type of cash and I had a gold watch worth like 100 G, I'd be doing the same thing. Just saying. It's easy for me to sit back and be like, well, I would never do that. I would do that. I would totally do that. Dude, when you're that young and you're flowing with testosterone and you got cash and you're a badass quarterback and your dad's Coach Prime, how could you not just have a little bit of swagger? I can't relate. I've never had swagger, to be honest with you, but he's got it. All right, let's keep rolling. Evan Giddings is going to join us at 5:20. You got the Rip City Drive. Chad Doing with you here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. And I'm texting back and forth with Duke, the UPS driver, right now. He's a Giants fan, and he said he would be happy if his Giants selected Shedeur Sanders. The other player I really like, and I would love to see him in a Bronco uniform, the tight end out of Penn State is awesome. Tyler Warren is a baller, so good, and can do so many things. And the Broncos need more tight end help. They did pick up Evan Ingram in free agency, but it'd be nice to draft a guy like Warren who can do it all. You know, he's one of those players. There are a few guys throughout the course of the season watching college football that just jumped out at me. Tyler Warren would be one of those. You know, you're watching a game and you're like, okay, that guy's head and shoulders above everybody else on the field. He's one of those guys. I felt that way when I watched Shedeur Sanders, Ashton Genty. You know, there are a few guys you notice around the country as you're watching college football. You're like, wow. The guy that plays for Penn State, Abdul Carter, he's a freak. You seen his body? I mean, that guy is a nasty, nasty human being. Great speed, gets off the ball quick. He's going to create havoc. I can understand why a team would have a hard time passing on Abdul Carter. I just love watching the draft because you never know. Some of the guys you think are going to hit, they don't hit. Some of the guys that you're unsure of end up hitting, and then you discover some hidden gems in later rounds. Now, the player I love the most is Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State, the running back extraordinaire. I don't know how he's going to translate to the NFL because he doesn't have great speed. And obviously the type of athlete he's going to face in the NFL week to week is different than what you see in college football. So he may not be able to run over everyone, but he's got the contact balance. He can catch. He's got good hands, understands blitz pickup. You could use him on third down. He could be a terrific special teams player. And obviously in short yardage, he's a guy that's going to go forwards and not backwards. And the problem is I reached out to Benjamin Albright, who is well connected around the league, and he's based out of Denver and knows a lot of people really well with the team. I asked him flat out, do the Broncos have any interest in Cam Skattebo? And he said, not that I've heard of. And I've seen him in a couple of mock drafts going to Denver, but I trust Benjamin Albright's information. But just because a team doesn't state that they have interest or they haven't put it out there that they have interest doesn't mean they don't have interest. You can't believe a darn thing that comes out between now and the draft next week. There's going to be smoke screens and a bunch of lies. Teams will do whatever it takes to have a player that they really want fall to their position in any type of round. You know, Sean Payton light his backside off last year just so he could make sure he got Bo Nix. You know, teams do whatever they can. And that's how competitive it is. So you got to be very cautious in terms of what you hear or don't hear over the next week. But the draft's going to be fun. I don't know the overall quality of the draft. Not as good as some of the drafts we've seen in the past, but it's loaded up in certain areas. You can get a lot of good defensive line depth this year. Running back is packed. Quarterbacks, not so much. Linebackers, there are players to be had out there. But I do like watching. I think for me this year, you know, over the last few years, because I've been so involved in college football, like I enjoy watching those guys make the leap to the next level so I can watch them play. I really enjoy that. And same thing with this year in college basketball with the tournament. I enjoyed it so much, and I thought the Final Four was such a home run, and the ratings would prove that. Massive ratings boost for the Final Four and the tournament this year. I'm going to pay attention to a lot of these guys. I want to see how they translate to the next level. Like Con Knuppel from Duke. I don't know what he's going to be, but I know he can shoot the basketball. And think about how many teams out there could use another guy that can shoot. The Blazers could use a guy that can, you know, stroke the three. Boston, if you can shoot the three, they'll find a way to get you on the floor. Just look at how many three-point shooters they got. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, I'm going to go down. I'm just going to say right now, Oklahoma City's winning the Western Conference, and Boston's winning the East. There you go. Those are my predictions. I don't want to hear about LeBron and Luka. I mean, I love and I'm going to enjoy watching them play. How good is that Warriors-Lakers second-round series going to be? How much does the NBA want that series? No, seriously. You look at the first-round matchups. I mean, you know going in, like, look, if you're the Rockets or the Timberwolves, you know that you better win by a lot or you're going to have a hard time because they're not going to get calls. How good would that be, though? Lakers, Warriors. I need to see that. You need to see that. That would be fun. That would be a good time. I just don't know if the Warriors can beat the Rockets. I expect the Lakers to handle the Timberwolves, but they'll create some problems too. I mean, they got some long guys who can defend, and the Lakers still don't have any bigs. You got a center? No? Okay. I mean, they got nothing. What, Jackson Hayes? I mean, the Lakers are flawed. The Warriors are flawed. And I'm watching the Warriors last night. And why doesn't Jonathan Kuminga play? I'm going to ask Evan Giddings that. Why? What is the problem with Kuminga? Because he looks like he should be playing more, but yet he doesn't really factor in right now. I don't even know if he's going to get that much of a sniff in the first round of the playoffs. But Jimmy Butler was great last night. Steph Curry was great. But the weird part about the Warriors, too, when you watch them, and this has really been the case with them ever since Steve Kerr took over, as great as they are and as much IQ as they have, they make a lot of mistakes. The turnovers, the sloppy play. Draymond had a dumb foul last night. It's amazing to me that they can be so boneheaded in different situations. But I guess Steve Kerr wants it that way because he would rather his team be loose and play free and be aggressive instead of freaking out about all the turnovers. He just wants them to go out there and be loose and play. And, I mean, I respect Steve Kerr a great deal. But they do get a little bit loose in tight moments. And that can be costly in a close basketball game. Oh, the other thing, too, is like, what's up with Trae Young? Trae Young, oh, my gosh. He was annoying last night. Trae Young is annoying because it just looked to me like even on calls he was getting, he was yelling at the official. And they finally had enough. Like, see ya, buddy. I know Trae Young's weird. Like, I love watching him play. I think he led the NBA in assists this year. A great offensive player. But the constant whining, and then he's always playing the game, trying to manipulate the game so he can get more foul calls. And I understand that that's part of the game, but I don't like to see it. The Magic crushed the Hawks. I don't know. What is Trae Young? I don't know. But it sure feels like he might be moved this offseason. But I just get tired of guys. Like, if you constantly whine and badger the officials, it just turns my stomach upside down. I can only take so much of it. Like, every single time down the floor, you look at the official, you yell at the official. It's like, dude, get over it. I'm not even trying to sound like an old guy. Don't you get tired of that? There's some guys where it's like every flipping time, they just can't handle anything. They got to have a conversation with the official. They've got to go over and talk to the official. They've got to yell at the official. They've got to help the official do their job. At some point, it's like, dude, just settle down. Go play the game. Hey, Trae Young, go play the game. But when the other team gets into the penalty, man, he tries to manipulate the game to get more foul calls. I don't know. It's annoying. So I was happy to see him go. And with Orlando, I don't know. They're dead anyways. Who they got to play? Boston? Good luck. That's a short series. That's a real short series. And then tonight we got that funny matchup between Dallas and Sacramento. Two disaster franchises going head-to-head for the rights to potentially play Oklahoma City and get run out of the playoffs in a heartbeat. Hi, you're going to take on a team that won 68 games and is loaded to the gills with talent. Sacramento's crazy because they got rid of Mike Brown. They went with Doug Christie. And why doesn't he? Does he hold his arm up? Remember when he used to do that, when he would hold his arm up after a bucket? I think he was acknowledging his wife. Does he do that as a coach? The Kings are a dumb franchise, too. So they get rid of Mike Brown. They make Doug Christie the coach. And then they got rid of De'Aaron Fox. Why'd they do that? Do we even know why they did that? I don't trust Sacramento. They're dumb. I don't even know if they light the beam anymore. Like, that's just not a very good franchise. And I like De'Aaron Fox, so I don't understand why you did that. And then you've got the Dallas Mavericks, a complete disaster. It's only fitting that they're getting ready for a playing game after they had that secret underground press conference where they didn't want anyone to have any recording equipment so that Patrick Dumont and Nico Harrison could say what they had to say, try to defend what they did by trading Luka. It's so sleazy. That's a bad franchise. I am convinced that Patrick Dumont he has no feel for anything socially, does not know how to communicate, and that's why he sounds the way that he does. And Nico Harrison's just crazy. Either he's really insane and crazy, because he truly believes that the decision to trade Luka was a good one. And that's when I know you're insane. Like, if you truly believe that that was the right call, then I need to have you examined. Or he was instructed to do it by the owners, by the Adelson group, DeMont and that whole crew. Like, they didn't want to pay Luka, or they're trying to run the team into the ground so they can move it to Vegas. Gavin came on and told us, Gavin Dawson from Dallas said that was not the case. But why else would you trade Luka? Like, like with Nico, but he's also the same guy that screwed up the Steph Curry presentation with Nike. So he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, too. He's the guy that I think was it Kevin Durant? So Steph Curry comes in, and they're presenting a case to Steph Curry with Nike, and they left the presentation slide for Kevin Durant up on the slide when they were presenting to Steph Curry. That was Nico Harrison. Now, at the time, maybe he didn't take it as seriously as he should because they didn't know Steph Curry was going to turn out to be one of the greatest players of all time and the best shooter ever. But that was a big botch. And that's on Nico. Nice job, buddy. And now Steph Curry's like, where's he at? Under Armour? But yeah, Nico, you trade Luka and you double down. And they try to do it sneakily, too. Remember that? We got the report yesterday. They tried to have that press conference. No cameras, no recording devices, no nothing. And they got to handpick the reporters that got to be there. You're in, you're not. You're in, you're not. And they tried to do it that way. But they got pushback, so there were audio recordings that were allowed, but you could not publish it. Now, why else would you do that? If you're so confident in your decision-making and you think without question the right idea was to trade Luka, then why are you so secretive? And why are you trying to make sure people can't record you? I don't know. I don't like it. So that's what we have tonight. Kings, Mavericks. Two rudderless ships going head-to-head. My guess is the Kings win, and then the Mavericks, they probably just quit. Can you imagine being a part of that team right now? Imagine being Anthony Davis. You're a legitimate Hall of Fame type player. You get traded to Dallas for Luka, and it has nothing to do with you, but the fans, like, all you hear is booing because every time they see you, they're reminded of the fact that the Mavericks traded away their favorite player in Luka Doncic. It's not even AD's fault. I love AD. He's a unique player with great skills as a big. He didn't ask for that. But every time a Mav fan sees him, they're going to remember that, oh, yeah, Luka's no longer a part of our team because our owners are buffoons. And they decided to trade Luka, who's not even in his prime of generational talent, for an aging superstar and one future first-round pick. Whatever. So we have that tonight. Who cares? I just can't wait to get these playoffs on. So that's what I think. Oklahoma City's going to win the West. They're by far the best. They won 68 flipping games, and their margin of victory is off the charts. And in the East, it's going to be Boston. Like, I love Cleveland's story this year. I love some of their young players. Evan Mobley and company. Jared Allen, they got some cool dudes on that team. Kenny Atkinson's done a good job, but they're not Boston. And I think Boston's been doing the classic. We want a title. We know what it takes to get the job done. We're not going to kill ourselves trying to get the number one seed because we know once the postseason is, we're going to crank up the intensity and we're just going to outgun you. And they will. And it's not even fair because they move the ball really well and they find the open shooter and they knock down threes. But when everything else breaks down, they can get it to Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. And those two guys are just bigger, stronger, faster. They can get to their spots and create their own shot. And not only that, but once you win a title, too, I think it boosts your confidence because you know you can get the job done. You get that proverbial monkey off your back, so you can go out there and just play ball. And I like Jason Tatum. I think he's cool. And I think he's a cool cat. I like the way he operates Jaylen Brown. And Joe Mazzulla is doing a heck of a job with that group. I thought the promotion of Mazzulla was a mistake. I was wrong. He's doing a good job. He's got their ear. He motivates them. And here's the best part about Boston. And this is how you know a team is really good. Their star players, like everyone on that roster right now, is all in, and they've all bought in on the concept of what they're trying to do. Meaning you have guys, even like Brown and Tatum, who will pass up a good shot for the best shot. And it doesn't matter who the guy is with the best shot. They're just willing to keep on moving the ball. And when you have a group of players, including your star players, who play that way, you become very difficult to defend. But Oklahoma City has a chance because they got the mobility and they've got the ability with the players they have on their roster, which is deep, to switch all 5 positions. Like, that'd be a good matchup. So that's my guess. My guess is the Rockets and Timberwolves are going to have a hard time getting out of the first round because the officiating will not be on their side. We shall see. While I think the Rockets have a great chance to beat Golden State, I have to admit I would love to see the Lakers and Warriors. That'd be a fun series. LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves going up against Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy Butler. And how good was Jimmy Butler last night? Jimmy Butler is a flat-out baller. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is. He can do everything. You need me to defend? Yes. You need me to be a rebounder? Okay, I can do that. You need me to run the floor? You need me to create shots one-on-one? He can play the game any way you need him to play it. He's just a unique talent. And he's also physically strong. Like, that's a strong guy. And he's smart. He's got the IQ. He's got the athleticism. He's got the ability to play it many different ways. And he even talked about that after the game last night where it's like, hey, I told the guys when I came here, we're going to make the playoffs. And I don't know exactly how yet, but I know I can help you win. Meaning, let me get in there, see what we can do, and we'll figure out a way to get it done. And you also know a guy's pretty good when Draymond and Steph instantly respect him because they know how good he is. They know what he can do. So I like that. So we'll see. Warriors-Lakers second round would be nice. But I'm telling you, Houston, don't sleep on Houston. You're getting good value, too. I think Warriors like minus 200. I think that was the opening odds on the series. I just know that the Rockets defend. Ime Udoka's got them playing hard, really hard. Rebound and defend. And the Warriors got hammered on the glass last night. I don't know. Boston, Oklahoma City doesn't exactly excite me like some other matchups would, but I think that would be the best series because those are by far the 2 best teams. And Cleveland getting in would be a fun story, too. I just want to see Cleveland get in. It'd be kind of fun to see Cleveland win the championship and then watch LeBron inject himself into the conversation and somehow come up with a way to say that, explain how he was somehow responsible for the Cavs winning the championship this year, because you know he would do it. You know he would do it. In fact, I'm going to play that for you next. Who was it? I think it was Rich Paul. He's out there now, the LeBron PR machine, trying to claim that the Miami Heat with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron was not a big 3. It's unbelievable to me. They're trying to rewrite history. The LeBron PR machine is strong. They are trying to manipulate everything that's ever written or been said about Bron so somehow they can make a case that he's better than MJ, which, of course, is an absurd thing to say. I saw both players throughout their entire career, and he is not MJ, okay? Let's just settle that right now. So we're going to hear from Rich Paul. Just so you know, the Heatles, not a big 3, apparently. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? I was around to watch it. Bosh, Wade, and LeBron were all true number 1s on their respective teams before they got together in Miami. Just don't insult our intelligence, for crying out loud. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. You got the Rip City Drive. I appreciate your time on this Wednesday. Evan Giddings from, is it 95.5? 95.7? I've been on so many stations now I can't keep them straight. 95.7 The Game. What's that?
He's on ESPN Plus.
Oh, calling games for who? St. Mary's?
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Play-by-play man and doing stuff for the station. He's awesome. Evan Giddings is a good dude. We'll talk Warriors with him. What does he think about that matchup with the Rockets? That's coming up at 5:20. We'll hear this nonsense from Rich Paul coming up next. All right, Rip City Drive. What's going on, my friends? You can reach out to me, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Tony and Boring sending me messages about Celeste Trapp. Oh, by the way, she'll be in studio tomorrow for What Women Want. Also, Michael Holton is going to stop by for Holton on Hoops. He'll be in studio at 5:20 tomorrow. Celeste at 4:20. And we'll get Michael's final thoughts. A little exit interview with Coach Holton. I want to get his take on Chauncey's extension, see what he thinks about the offseason, get his take on some of the matchups coming up in the postseason. He's been really impressed. Michael Holton told me that if there were one player in the league that he would pay money to watch right now, he said without question it would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's pretty sweet. And he loves watching him play, loves his game, and he's going to win the MVP. I'm not saying that he would be my MVP, but I don't have a problem with him winning it. I'm just saying I would vote for Nikola Jokic because I truly believe that he is the best player, the MVP. But there's a lot of great players in the league. That's all. So we'll see how things shake out. But Rich Paul was on Pat McAfee's show and basically had some things to say about the big three in Miami and said it wasn't a big three. So I want to get to that. I'll do that coming up at 5. I need to go back through and make sure anytime you're playing something that was on the McAfee show, you got to triple check. A lot of words fly on that program. It's a great program. I think McAfee does a great job. But I don't like history being rewritten. Is Miami, was that not a big three? Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. Like, that's the definition, right? People forget this. And it was the same thing in Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love and LeBron. And I'm not even cracking LeBron for being a part of a big three twice. I'm just saying it is what it is. It was a big three. Dwayne Wade was a true number one. Chris Bosh in Toronto was a true number one. And then LeBron, obviously, a number one. Now, the key is if you're going to have three, massive players like that get together, somebody's got to take a back seat. And in this case, it was Bosh. And that's why I respect Bosh so much, is because he was willing to lessen his role and his impact to fit alongside LeBron and make it work. And as a result, they won championships, 2 of them. And props to them. They went to 4 straight finals, won 2 titles. You need guys that are willing to take on a different role. Same thing with Kevin Love when he joined LeBron in Cleveland. Kevin Love was willing to take on a different role and adjust his game in order to make it work with LeBron. And I think that's cool. Team guy, willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win. The problem is that when things went sideways in Miami, Bosh took the brunt of the criticism. When things went sideways in Cleveland, it was Kevin Love who took the brunt of the criticism. That's just reality. That's how it went down. But it's definitely a big three. But don't try to rewrite history or tell me it wasn't. I mean, come on. Who are we? Who are we kidding here? Right? So there you go. What else is going on? That's really it now. We're in this transition phase, right? We got the NBA playoffs coming up, and I'm pretty excited about the postseason. Western Conference primarily. The Eastern Conference, not nearly as exciting, but I'm excited about the West, mostly because of the player movement, Luka being in L.A. And the great thing about Luka being in the postseason is that every win the Lakers get is going to create more pain for Mavericks fans and more frustration they're going to have towards Nico Harrison and the Mavs ownership group. But the player movement's what makes it fun. Jimmy Butler being with Golden State. He's a darn good basketball player. Luka Doncic is unbelievable. And I like Austin Reeves, too. So you've got, those guys getting a chance to go in. And I think it's fun to watch an older team, like a veteran team like Golden State, get a chance to take on the young Bucks like Houston. Young guys who are athletic, young guys who are hungry, and they're coached by a guy who's a no-nonsense, hardcore dude in Ime Udoka. Udoka's a tough, tough coach, demanding, and knows what he's doing. And those guys are going to defend for him. And they got multiple guys they can throw at Steph. And my question is with the Warriors, like, if Steph's off or if the Rockets can do a good job of neutralizing him. After Steph and Jimmy Butler, who do the Warriors got? Who's going to be the third scorer? Draymond? Can't say Kuminga because he's not going to play in the series. Is it Quentin Post? Like, who's going to be the third guy? Like, Buddy Hield? So that's going to be an issue because I think the Rockets, look, no one can stop Steph completely. But I think his worst game of the season came against the Rockets. They had one game where they only put up 90 points. I guess what I'm trying to say is when you play Houston, like, they don't jack around, man. They just defend. They get after it. Miami and Chicago. Chicago. They're on ESPN right now. I just did a poor. Chicago. I can't do it right now. I'm nervous. Chicago. Little Ace Ventura for you. So Miami on top 13-5. And that game just underway. 9 minutes to play in the first. And the Bulls have been fun to watch down the stretch. Josh Giddey's been a great addition. He's like a triple-double machine. Bazelis has been fun to watch. I've always enjoyed watching Vucevic. And the other guy I like, too, is Kobe White. Kobe White is really good player, good ball handler, strong, physically strong. I like watching him play, too. The Bulls got some fun players. But Bazelis is good, really good. But I like the way they're playing. And I like their coach, too. So we'll see how things shake out. But Miami, I don't know. Oh, this is a good one here. In honor of the Chicago Bulls being in the play-in tournament. That's the other thing, too. If the Kings win tonight, like, are you allowed to light the beam if you win a play-in game? I don't think you should be allowed to light the beam. I love the beam, and I just wish that the Blazers had thought of that so we could light our own beam here in Portland, where you hit like a button and then like way up in the sky, you have like the bat signal, but it's like a pinwheel. Like, that would be badass. But, yeah, I love watching Giddey. Josh Giddey's a good player.
We're the home of the exploding whale. Shouldn't we have an exploding whale button?
The exploding whale button. And it could be like autographed by Paul Lindman. It could have Lindman's initials engraved on the button, and you hit that, and you get an exploding whale.
Yeah. So instead of shooting out streamers, have like whale blubber come down or win.
It's not a bad idea. All right, we'll come back. We're going to hear from Rich Paul, and then we'll talk Warriors with Evan Giddings coming up at 5:20. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's 5 o'clock. Chad here. Joe Cronin, Trailblazers General Manager, joined me earlier in the show. You can always podcast. Just go to the iHeartRadio app or RipCityRadio.com. We have a couple of notes here from the NFL. Giants GM Joe CRONIN says that they would be willing to play Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter both ways. The NFL draft is coming up 1 week from tonight. Don't forget, the NBA draft lottery is coming up on May 12th. We got news from Duke freshman Con Knuppel, who says he will enter the NBA draft. Checking the NBA scoreboard right now with more play-in tournament action. First quarter in Chicago. Heat lead the Bulls 28-18. And coming up at 7 o'clock, both games on ESPN. The Mavericks are at the Kings. These are a pair of 9-10 matchups in the NBA tonight. Well, I haven't heard this song in a long time. Eddie Grant, Romancing the Stone. Now, is Michael Douglas in that movie? I haven't seen it in so long.
Yes, Kathleen Turner.
Now, wait a second. Isn't there another big song for that? Isn't Billy Ocean on the I think Billy Ocean is on the soundtrack for that movie. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Isn't that true?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember. Yeah, because Danny DeVito was in that music video.
That's a great song. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. I listened to that song a few times when I was younger. Now, Eddie Grant also sang Electric Avenue. Right?
Yeah. And that song's in my head because I always hear that at Moda Center.
All right, I got the audio here. I double-checked it just to make sure it's safe. Essentially, let me explain it to a way you'll get it. When you're playing something that was on the Pat McAfee show, you have to treat it like a Raider Mike phone call. You don't know what might fly out. You got to be careful. It can be dangerous, especially if you got the FCC bumping around. So here is Rich Paul. Anytime Rich Paul or Clutch or anyone involved with Clutch starts talking, I'm always like, come on. And I like Rich Paul. I got a lot of respect for him. In fact, what LeBron and his crew have done and what they have built with the Empire is pretty impressive. But just don't try and twist truth, okay? That's not cool. But I always feel like the LeBron PR machine's always trying to do something, say something, reshape something to try and let everyone know that he's better than MJ. And that's not the case. Unless, of course, you grew up without seeing MJ play, and then you might come to the conclusion that somehow LeBron's better. But the people that are in LeBron's camp, even Gary Sheffield's son, he gets irritated with me every time I say anything about LeBron because he loves LeBron. That's his guy. But anyways, here's Rich Paul. Apparently, the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James was not a big three. Take a listen.
That's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really. People talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was three guys that went in the lottery, and they did really well individually on their team. So they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat And he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. What? When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a big three. Again,
Rondo.
Thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams and having this.
Well, what's he talking about? What do you mean it didn't work? The Celtics formed a big three. They won a championship. Miami formed a big three, and they went to 4 straight finals and won 2 championships. And then LeBron formed another big three in Cleveland, and they won a championship. In fact, they didn't just win a title. They came back from down 3-1 against the 73-win Warriors. It's worked on multiple occasions. What are we even talking about here? He's trying to redefine it. He's like, well, the reason why I worked there is because Chris Bosh took a back seat. Yeah, he did, because he had no choice. Just because he chose to take a back seat in Miami to allow LeBron to do what he needed to do and play the way he wanted to play doesn't mean that he wasn't a superstar in his own right. He was. Chris Bosh was a true number one. D. Wade was a true number one. And then LeBron was a true number one. That's 3 number ones. That's a big three. And yes, in order to make it work, someone's got to take a back seat. They can't all have the ball in their hands at the same time. And if you're going to play with LeBron, he needs the ball in his hands. So you find a way to make it work. Kevin Love in Cleveland, Chris Bosh in Miami. Those 2 guys had to adjust more than anybody else on the team to make it work with LeBron. And there's nothing wrong with that. I applaud it. But they're still a big three. How can they not be? Right? I mean, the Miami Heat, LeBron James, they changed the way teams do things. So now, after that, you had superstar players trying to find a way to align with one another. But now with the salary cap and the new CBA, those days are gone. And it's not going to happen anymore because teams can't afford to do it. And then Kevin Durant going to Golden State to play with Steph and Clay and Dre. I don't know what you call that, but that was kind of like a big three, wasn't it? Close to it. Steph, KD, Clay, Dre. That was a pretty good squad. But the Miami Heat were the definition of a big three. And Chris Bosh was awesome. D. Wade was awesome. And LeBron was awesome. So, yeah, it was a big three. And, yes, in order to make it work, someone's got to take a backseat to somebody. But the way I define, like if you're a true number one and you're the franchise player, that was Chris Bosh in Toronto. That was D. Wade in Miami. And that was LeBron in Cleveland. They were all the franchise cornerstone. And then they joined forces together. Like, I don't know how you can't call that a big three. But obviously, if you're going to play together, 3, dominant players like that, then they have to adapt and adjust. And I still love the story on that team. Eric Spoelstra, what he did to get ready for that season, because he knew once Pat Riley got the job done and got Wade, Bosh, and LeBron together, Eric Spoelstra knew the microscope was going to be cranked up many notches on him. And so what he did in that offseason leading into the season, he went around and talked to many different coaches across all sports with one simple goal in mind. How do I need to coach and handle the big three? And really what he came back with, the conclusion was pretty simple. I'm going to put the onus on those guys. They're the big three. Those are the guys who are the stars. They're the ones making the big money. The onus is going to be on them. And they've got to find a way to make it work. And that's what they did. And that's why I've always credited Chris Bosh. He'll never get the respect he deserves in that grouping, but he did. Rich Paul is correct. He was a consummate pro. He took a back seat and adapted his game to fit with Wade and LeBron. And same thing in Cleveland with Kyrie and LeBron and Kevin Love. Kevin Love was a number one in Minnesota, big-time player, but he had to adjust and knew he wasn't going to get the same type of touches playing with D Wade and LeBron. But he adjusted his game and became, kind of the third guy in that grouping to make it work. And that's why I respect Kevin Love so much, because he adjusted his game to make it work with those guys. And again, if you're playing with LeBron, you probably should be the one to adjust, right? Now, Chicago, the 72-win team, that second three-peat with MJ, Michael, Scotty, Rodman. I mean, that's almost a big three, except, Rodman was defense and rebounding, and not a scorer. The great thing about playing with Rodman is that he wasn't looking to shoot the ball, but he would gobble up a billion rebounds and give you a lot of second chance opportunities. So he would get an offensive rebound and get it right back to Scotty or Michael so they could put up the shot. But that's close to a big three. But yeah, the Miami team. But the LeBron PR machine, it gets a little bit nauseating. It just always feels like they're trying to do something else to push it out there. Because think about it. Here's why Rich Paul would say something like that potentially. LeBron is trying to make the case he's the greatest player of all time. But he's got a couple of knocks against him. And one of the big knocks against LeBron was the decision going on TV with Jim Gray to announce that he was taking his talents to South Beach. That was a mistake. And I'm sure that they learned from that and knew that they would never do that again. Because when he went back to Cleveland, he went and wrote the story for Sports Illustrated and did it in a much classier way. So he learned from his mistake. But his reaction to the immediate criticism from the decision was to say it was all about the kids. Well, one of the big knocks on LeBron, of course, is that of his 4 championships, 2 of those came in Miami, where he formed that super team, right? And so that's kind of a way to take shots at LeBron and his resume. So that's why they continue to come out to try and make their case for LeBron. Because LeBron, you can listen to him and understand it means something to him, but he pays attention to what's being said about him. He wants to be known as the greatest player of all time. And so he's got his people around him are constantly making the case for that. And really what I've learned is that it just depends on when you grew up. If you grew up in the era of MJ, you're going to be Team MJ. I don't know anyone that grew up with MJ or saw the entirety of his career and can remember it that thinks LeBron's better. But at the same time, I don't know anyone that grew up with LeBron but didn't see MJ that thinks MJ's better. It just happens to, it's just like with me. I didn't grow up with Wilt Chamberlain. I acknowledge that he is probably the greatest center of all time, but I didn't grow up with him, so I never watched him play. But the people that did watch him play swear by him. Not to mention he was a great athlete, great volleyball player. He could do everything. And as he told Roy Firestone, he is the all-time leading scorer. Here it is, Billy Ocean. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. This is from Romancing the Stone. This is a good song. I played this on my Walkman back in the day about 1 million times. And give me some volume on that, Shaq. Don't tease me. I like Billy Ocean a lot. He looks like Robert Parrish. Or I should say Robert Parrish looks like Billy Ocean. And Billy Ocean was on live from Daryl's house, too. That was cool. All right, coming up next, we're going to head down to San Francisco. The Warriors are coming off their win over Memphis last night in the play-in, so they advance and are now part of the postseason officially. They'll be in the 2-7 matchup against the Rockets, and the Houston Rockets have home court advantage. What I want to know is, what's the deal with Jonathan Kuminga, and do the Warriors have enough to advance in terms of depth, defense, and rebounding against this young Rockets squad? We're going to find out next with Evan Giddings here on the Rip City Drive. Chad Doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, joining us now, a good friend of the station and the show. He is with 95.7 The Game in San Francisco, also the voice of Santa Clara. It's Evan Giddings with us here on the RipCityDrive. Evan, my man, what's up, brother?
How we doing, Chad? I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be chopping it up with you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I want to ask you, man, why doesn't Jonathan Kuminga play?
Because Steve Kerr says so. That's pretty much the way things have gone. Yeah. It's been something we've all been trying to figure out, but the honest answer, I think the most simplistic answer I can give you, as weird as it might sound, is actually Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler plays so many minutes at the position that Jonathan Kuminga was previously occupying before they made that trade, that while he was out due to injury, no fault of his own, they found something with that kind of mix involving Jimmy Butler at the 4 position that sort of takes away from what Kuminga does. And I think we'd all agree that Butler is just, at this stage in his career, better at all those things than Kuminga is. So that's pretty much why he gets no tick at this point.
Well, it's funny. I was wondering this, maybe with Kuminga. He was a true number 1 option in college compared to a guy like Pajinski, who was not. I'm just wondering if, maybe it's a little bit harder to come into the league and play alongside guys like Steph if you're used to being a number 1 option compared to someone that wasn't, that kind of knows how to fit in as a role player.
No, I think that's an astute observation. I think that's also what's going on. It's Kuminga, he sees himself as a number 1. You're absolutely correct. And on a team with Curry, you're never going to be that alpha. And now you got 2 alphas on the team that you got to contend with. And so Kuminga, I don't think he's a bust or his career is done by any means. He's uber talented, but he has struggled to figure out how to play without the ball in his hands. And that's something that a lot of young players at many stages of winning, whether you're at the bottom in a lottery team or you're a team that's contending for a championship, those players, it takes some time. And Kuminga hasn't had a ton of opportunity. He's been hurt by injury this year. But before the injury happened, he was playing some of his best basketball, but he had the ball in his hands. He had a 33-point game in a win against Houston on the road. He drove in the nail against Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns, outplaying Kevin Durant in the fourth quarter. It's not as if he hasn't had moments, but that was all before Butler got here. And so I just don't think that JK yet knows how to play off the ball, which is also something that a lot of other lottery picks, uber-talented players struggle with as well.
All right, with the Warriors, especially against a team like Houston that's so good defensively, after Steph and Jimmy Butler, who's the third scorer going to be, the third option?
I think you mentioned him, and it might come as a shock to some, but I think it's Brandon Pajemski at this point, and it's gonna cycle, I think. But if you're looking at a series, right, they play the Houston Rockets coming up on Sunday. If you're looking at who's the third leading scorer across that series, not every single game, I think it is Pajemski, and I think it's because he has an irrational confidence. He's not afraid to shoot the ball, but he's also developed somewhat of a mid-range game. He's scrappy enough. And I think the offensive rebounds that he's able to produce set him up for some easy chances. I'm not saying that he's going to be scoring 20 points a game in that series, but if you're thinking about who's going to be able to put the ball in the hole outside of Steph and Jimmy on a consistent basis, it's going to be Pods, which also potentially is something that might be their undoing. If you're thinking about how they're going to get beat in a series, that third score is a big question mark for me, and Pods is really the only one I think that has the opportunity to do that, assuming that Kuminga doesn't have a big role.
We're talking with Evan Giddings, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. I realize that a lot of people may not be familiar with the Rockets because they got a lot of young talent. Maybe if you live on the West Coast, you don't pay attention to a lot of Houston basketball. But I do know this. Ime Udoka is coaching his tail off. They are great defensively, and they rebound like animals. Of their attack, what concerns you the most with the Rockets?
What do you give me for this, Chad? I feel like the Houston Rockets are maybe just kind of like an evolved form of the Portland Trailblazers. Like, I actually see a lot of similarities between the team where you cover as well as the Rockets. The Rockets have just had a little more time, more of an experienced coach, and a couple more veterans. Like, would you give me that?
Yeah, young and athletic and different guys who have length that can defend, yes.
Yeah, so I think that the Warriors struggle with those kinds of teams, but Houston is, I mean, they're nasty, man. They kind of remind me like of a 90s basketball team. They don't have to score 100 points to beat you, and that's what's scary. The fact that you can win 52 games while playing from the majority of the season with a lower half of the league offense speaks to how great your defense is, and more importantly, I think when you're able to get those stops. Like, for my money, Amen Thompson is the best perimeter defender in basketball, and he's only 22 years old. But they have a couple of other guys that are just able to get their hands in the cookie jar seemingly at will. And while I don't necessarily believe they have a true number one, maybe it's Jalen Green, maybe it's Alperen Şengün, they kind of beat you by committee, and they do it primarily with their defense. So I think even if they lose a series, and they very may well could beat the Warriors, but they're the kind of team that takes a pound of flesh from you, and those are the kinds of teams that scare me in the postseason.
I agree 100%. Now, one thing that's been fun to watch is Jimmy Butler coming to the Warriors. It seems like right away Steph and Draymond really respect Jimmy and the way he goes about his business. Can you talk about the connection between those three?
Yeah, I actually think that it's taken not as much time as I thought. Like, there were some reports around early January that Jimmy Butler was not seen as a culture fit for the Golden State Warriors. It was reported by The Athletic, and Steph Curry was someone, along with Steve Kerr, that was mentioned in that report as having, maybe second thoughts about a Jimmy Butler. But when the Kevin Durant deal fell through, they were forced into it. They had to make a move to try and save their season. To me, the interesting relationship is Draymond Green, because I think everyone on the surface assumed, well, here's these two fiery guys. They've gotten in trouble before. One of them has blown up multiple locker rooms, and Draymond has literally threatened his head coach. How are these guys going to mesh? And the fact of the matter is they have such a mutual respect for each other, because those are the kinds of players that you can't bark at. I think that both of them have issues with players that they don't respect, and it's very difficult in terms of basketball acumen as well as accolades to not respect what Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green have done. So those two have been able to pair together very quickly, and I think Curry is someone that demands automatic respect from whoever. And the fact that Jimmy Butler, as much of an alpha as he's been throughout his career, can come in and be deferential at times to someone like Steph Curry. Last night during the play-in game that secured them the 7th seed, Jimmy Butler called Steph Curry Batman. So if that doesn't tell you the kind of relationship they've already been able to build so far, I'm not sure what does.
Are the Warriors legitimate title contenders?
Oh man, you're gonna tell that's a tough one. I have my reservations. I do, and it's just simply based on precedent. No NBA champion has ever had their three best players all be at or above the age of 35. It just hasn't happened. Yeah. There have been teams like, for example, the Spurs have had Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili, but their finals MVP was a 22-year-old Kawhi Leonard. There have been teams that in the past, Michael Jordan's Bulls have obviously got it done with elder statesmen, but the oldest finals MVP in the history of basketball has been age 34. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a young Magic Johnson, had a young James Worthy. So what the Warriors are trying to do has literally never been done before in the history of basketball, and that is what would give me pause as far as believing that they could win 4 7-game series.
I've enjoyed watching Quentin Post. I kind of like his game. What's your take on what he's brought to the Warriors?
He's good, man. And I would say, as far as bang for buck, he's probably the best stretch 5 in the league, because he's a second-round pick. He's on a 2-year, I want to say, barely $2 million deal.
Bargain.
He's a 40+% three-point shooter. And I think if you're looking around those sort of stretch 5s, they're not a ton of them. He can get played off the floor at times, and he'll get hunted certainly in the playoffs. But for a team that doesn't really have a lot of shooting, he's been an absolute godsend. So I think Mike Dunleavy Jr. has done an awesome job of finding plug-and-play, ready-made players in the last couple of drafts, Podziemski being his first, to some extent Trace Jackson-Davis, who's fallen a little bit out of favor, and now his only pick in this most recent draft, Quentin Post. And so, those kind of 4-year, 5-year players out of college, the ones who are ready to step in and make an immediate impact, those guys are going to have jobs, and Quentin Post has made the most of his opportunities.
Hey, Evan, how great would a Laker-Warriors second-round series be?
Oh, I think Adam Silver is on his hands and knees praying for it right now. I think he was looking for it in the first round just in case that one of them gets knocked out. Everyone wants more Curry versus LeBron. Whether you like them individually or not, the league wants those two players on the same stage at the same time. And for them to obviously don the same cape this summer with Team USA and bring home the gold was a spectacle in and of itself. But you just never know how many more head-to-head battles we're going to get. You know, Brady versus Manning, Ali versus Frazier, and Curry versus LeBron James. There's so many great historic one-on-one battles, even in team sports, that for my money, it's towards the top as far as modern rivalries. And in the NBA, there just hasn't been anything like it in my lifetime.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when I was in San Francisco, I was always blown away by Steph Curry, one of the most humble global superstars I've ever come across. Is he still rolling the same way?
Oh, yeah, man. It's so weird, like seeing what he does on a basketball court, which defies logic oftentimes, and then seeing the way that he just struts to the podium like a completely normal guy. He's just every single person you see on the street in regards to his demeanor, his approach. He's a pure soul. You know, one thing that he will do, just to kind of peel back the curtain, is if the Warriors have, let's say, you know, a Make-A-Wish kid or a group, perhaps a team that's accomplished something in the community, or a local standout, a child, an elder person, and then they want to come in and listen to the post-game press conferences, because that's what the Warriors will do sometimes. Curry will always make time for those individuals after he's done going through his hour-long post-game workout, after he's done answering all these difficult questions. He will make time for the people that have come to see him and stayed hours beyond end. And that's just not something that every single superstar of his ilk does. So Curry is truly as close to a perfect individual as I've seen in sports.
Hey, Evan, I want your take on the Western Conference. You know, as we get closer to the playoffs, I'm just starting to really see the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm thinking, are we going to look back on these playoffs and be like, why didn't we see OKC's dominance coming? Because 68 wins and their point differentials off the charts, like they're loaded, they can switch all 5 positions. I just don't understand why more people aren't buying into what the Thunder have done throughout the entire season.
Dude, I'm 100% with you. It's not necessarily that they're going to clean the clocks to the West, but I think people are just reluctant to crown them before they actually get it done. And to be fair, they don't have a ton of NBA Finals experience, but quietly they have a lot of playoff experience in and of itself. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was up against Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors as a rookie with the LA Clippers, and now he's in his 8th season about to win the Most Valuable Player award. Like, I think the Thunder aren't getting enough credit, to your point, Chad, for what they've done this year, which is absolutely waxed just about everybody in front of them, while also doing it for about 2/3 of the season without their second-best player in Chet Holmgren. Hartenstein has missed time. Jalen Williams has been in and out down the stretch of this season. Like, the OKC Thunder have been an absolute machine. And so, in a sense, I'm sort of rooting for them to get this done just so they can finally get the respect it feels like they've been missing out on just because they're kids. Like, to me, that's a little bit unfair.
Now, you're in the Bay Area, so you're close to Sacramento. Have you been able to figure out why the team gave up on De'Aaron Fox sooner than what they probably should have? Like, they seem like this game tonight with Dallas and Sacramento, it's like a game of dysfunction.
I mean, I think that's the word. I mean, that's kind of the word that's surrounded and defined their franchise, at least for my entire lifetime. It's dysfunction. You know, they got rid of pretty much every single player that has been a face since I have been around and familiar with the Sacramento Kings, dating back to Chris Webber, Boogie Cousins, now De'Aaron Fox. No one has wanted to stay there long term, and even if they have, the Kings haven't been able to keep them. And it ended up blowing up in their face, obviously, because they picked a player over the coach, and the player was never going to stay, so they had to get rid of him. And they essentially swapped him out for a super expensive bag of basketball sand who's been Zach LaVine for the last 10 years. And now you're stuck with a group that can do only one thing, which is score. They're never going to win more than 45 games, and I don't really see them ever winning a postseason series. So they don't really even have a chance to reset things. I just don't really know what they tried to accomplish at this deadline outside of pissing off a lot of fans who finally felt like this franchise was turning a corner after making its first playoffs in nearly 2 decades a couple of years ago. Instead, they hit the wrong switch, and now it feels like they're back to being the punching bag of the West, and especially of that Pacific Division.
Hey, Evan, how crazy was the Mavericks, Nico Harrison and Patrick Dumont trying to have a secret press conference with hand-picked reporters and no recording devices? Isn't that classic?
Oh, I mean, well, it's crazy because with Mark Cuban, I actually felt like, I mean, whatever you think about Mark Cuban, the Mavericks have been somewhat of an upstanding franchise. They've been known as, I think, a pretty good, a damn good franchise, in fact, that they take care of their players. There's no problems that really come out of there. And Nico Harrison took this swing and is apparently going to fall on the sword. And I think it's a pretty bloody one at this point because no one believed that was a good trade. No one can defend it or has found a way to defend it to this point. And Nico Harrison is the only guy that seems to not see this or refuse to believe that you have to eventually give in to what you did. And credit to some of the reporters that, as the information leaks out, have talked about, challenging the logic of Harrison and trying to push back and ask these second questions, these follow-ups that everyone wants answers to, and he's simply got none. And in my opinion, it's because he knows he was dead wrong, was trying to remake the wheel when it was working perfectly well, and is going to end up going down as the man who essentially traded the basketball version of Babe Ruth. Because I think Luka Doncic is going to win at a high level, is going to acquire championships at some point in his life, and Nico Harrison's going to be the guy that sent that all away for a bag of chips and an aging superstar.
All right, final question for you, Evan, and I do appreciate your time. How do you see this series playing out with Houston and Golden State? Do you think the experience of the Warriors will carry them, or do you think the Rockets' youth, athleticism, defense, and rebounding will get the series for them?
I do think the Warriors will win the series. I think my pick today was Warriors in 6. I don't think it's going to be easy, though, and I think that it's going to set up a very difficult second-round series for the Dubs because, like I mentioned, Houston's a team that beats the hell out of you. And so even if you're able to not have to, even if you don't have to go 7 games, I do think they take a pound of flesh. Hopefully it's not an injury, but Curry, Butler, Draymond, they're going to be playing upwards of 35 to 38 minutes per game against this team, and I'm not sure that's going to do them well in the long run. But I think it's good enough to beat Houston, a team that's inexperienced, a team that can't really score. And I think when you don't have a guy you can rely on under 2 minutes in the postseason, that's going to cost you a game or two, whereas the Warriors do, Houston does not. So I think the Warriors find a way to get it done, and I think it's in 6.
Well, Evan, you just got thumbs up from both Shaq and I, man. We appreciate your time. Keep killing it down there in the Bay Area, and enjoy the series.
Oh, anytime, Shaq. Great to hear from you. Shout out to Shaq, and happy to come on with you anytime.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. There's Evan Giddings, a wonderful member of the family here at 620 Rip City Radio, now killing it down in the Bay Area, and the voice of Santa Clara basketball. Good job, my friend. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. In the city. Yeah, I saw Journey at Moda like right at the end of summertime last year. They weren't as good as when I saw them down in Vegas with Toto. It was just an off night, whatever. Who was that, Journey and Def Leppard? Did you go to that show, Shacker? Journey and Def Leppard?
No, I saw him a few years ago when Toto opened.
Why didn't you go to that show? You go to basically every concert. Could you not get tickets?
Actually, I did have tickets, but I gave them away.
That's very nice of you. When was the last time you paid for concert tickets?
I still pay for. I go to a lot of club shows, and I pay for those.
Okay. All right, big thanks to Evan Giddings. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, just had a quick conversation with Brendan Slaughter and Chris Burkhart. They're both airing their grievances, but we solved that real quick. I solved about 2 problems in about 5 minutes. I'm proud of myself. Hey, look, some people in life that you deal with are just, they're just a little more difficult to deal with. Just got to learn to massage the situation. That's all. And that's okay. As we get older, you learn how to deal with different personalities and different people. It's all good. Oh, my goodness. All right. What's it looking like outside? Blue skies and sunshine. Spectacular. Love it. Love, love, love what's going on right now. Let's check the extended forecast just to make ourselves happy. So we got Resurrection Sunday coming up. What do we got over the 10-day here? Let's see here. All right. Tomorrow, 71 and perfectly sunny. Friday, 76 and perfectly sunny. Unfortunately, on Friday, I'll be down at Spirit Mountain, so I will not be playing golf. That's below average. Saturday, 62, partly sunny. Sunday and Monday, 59 and 61. Chance of rain on Sunday is 17%. I like that number. On Monday, 24%. And then the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday. Let's see here. Monday, Tuesday, nice. Wednesday looks like rain. So see, we got some good weather coming up. So yeah, that's what it is. Wednesday the 30th, 72 and a 31% chance of rain. Whatever. I can live with that. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have nice weather. Get back outside. The days continue to get longer. There's nothing to complain about, man. It's all good. We got NBA playoffs kicking off this weekend. So there you have it. You make sure you podcast the show. And you can go to RipCityRadio.com or just do it via the iHeartRadio app. And the best way to do it is set up the presets on the app. You can set 620 Rip City Radio in your number 1 position. I love streaming the app when I'm, using the Bluetooth in my car. And then I have all of my favorite stations set up. So Rip City Radio number 1, KOA, 850 KOA in Denver number 2. So I can get my Bronco information from Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Albright. And then I've got this music station. It's like the music of our life that plays a lot of the classic songs that I like. And you can set up the presets right there on your app so you're dialed in. But at least that way you can access the podcast, or Rip City Drive, and hear conversations like we had with Joe Cronin. You don't have to miss anything. It's that simple. And tonight I'm going to continue watching Celtic City. I think, and when does Andor come out? Shacker, doesn't Andor come out pretty quick? Is that next week?
Yeah, after Easter, next week.
Yes. What, Monday?
I think it's a Wednesday show or Tuesday.
Are they gonna do it episode by episode, so we're gonna get jacked?
Yeah, they're gonna do like 3 episodes at a time, so like little movies. Like each week you'll get a little Andor movie. Okay, Andor 2. Yeah, I've read the description. Each 3 episode set is a different like era, and like they'll go like fast forward in time each 3 episodes.
So we get 3 episodes at the same time.
Yeah, so just look at it as a weekly movie.
Yeah, Tuesday, April 22nd at 9 Eastern on Disney Plus. The subsequent 9 episodes are on 3 subsequent Tuesdays at 9 p.m. This is beautiful news. I've seen, as you guys have, Brendan and Michael, you've seen I saw the final preview. The show's going to be epic. And I thought the first season of Andor was awesome. It was one of those, I went into it not really knowing what I would think about it, and I enjoyed Andor as much as I have anything else. I thought it was great. Great.
And we need more Death Star, more Darth Vader, maybe some Emperor.
Yes, check on all of that. And then soon we'll get our Mando movie, which is going to be fabulous. I've gone back. I just finished up. I went back and watched all 3 seasons of Mando. And then I also watched Boba Fett because Mando and Grogu are in that as well. So I'm all ready for the movie. But at least you and I have Karate Kid Legends this summer to suffice, which I think is coming out, May? Is that May or June?
Yeah, that's May, Memorial Day-ish. And then later in the summer, Naked Gun remake.
Oh, my gosh. Is that going to suck balls?
No, Liam
Neeson?
Yeah.
No way. Liam Neeson is playing Lieutenant Frank Drebin?
Yep, he's taking over the role.
Are you pulling my leg right now?
No, I can't make this up. I'm not that smart.
Liam Neeson? No, you're full of crap, dude. I don't believe that. I don't know anything about this. Liam Neeson, Naked Gun. That can't be true. Liam Neeson, Naked Gun. Oh, my gosh. You weren't lying. How did I not know this? Pam Anderson's in the movie?
You're a busy dude. It's been basketball, Blazer season.
Pam Anderson?
Yeah, and she had some Oscar buzz this year.
Is she still looking...
She's all about not wearing makeup anymore.
I'm okay with that. She can do whatever she wants. I don't care. Yeah, it's going to be good. I'll check it out. But I'm going in with hesitation because Leslie Nielsen is a one of a kind. He would bring the fart machine on the talk shows.
I know. He influenced your buddy, the Godfather. He bought one of those.
He did. He
same
bought
fart
one of the Liam
machines.
Neeson fart machines. Because you can go in and watch. He's like on Letterman and he's just casually breaking wind with the fart machine. It's pretty funny. And he would act like he didn't even know what was going on, which is great. All right, there you go. I didn't know until I know. Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson. The problem is I'm just conditioned to seeing Liam in Taken, right? Which all those movies are great too.
But he did comedy, and he was in Ted 2.
That's true. All right, I'm in. I'll check it. But that's coming out later in the summer. All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Joe Cronin, Trailblazers general manager. I appreciate Rasan Gathers for his efforts to get him on the show.